What's up, YouTube? This is your girl back again with another video, Angelique. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is a story time. This is a more of a deep story time. So you guys might want to sit down, get relaxed, so we can get into this story time. For the new viewers that are here viewing, hit that subscribe button. And also hit that thumbs up. Also comment below. And let me know what you guys would like to see me do. Like for me, what videos you would like for me to do. And I will do them. Alright? So before I get into this video, I just want to say that this video is more of has a deeper subject. Okay, let's get into it. So the title is the time that I went to the hospital. So this is a time a year ago. No, from literally 2017. I came back from the hospital December 11th. And the reason I went into the hospital for self-harm. And at this point, I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I feel comfortable talking about it because it was a part of my life. It has happened to me. And I feel that, like, anything that I say can benefit someone else. And it benefited me and it helped me. So why not? So, yes. It really doesn't really have, like, a this is where it all started moment. Because, yeah, I had went in the hospital and I cut my arm up. And it was a very scary experience. I never thought that I would ever be in a place where where I was, because it wasn't just a regular hospital. It was basically a mental hospital, and it was different from anything that I've ever experienced. But what led up to that point was I left my house after after work. I left my house with a friend, and I didn't tell no one where I was going. And it was a 4 weekend, and I didn't tell anyone where I was going, and I didn't tell anyone when I was going back. I didn't tell anyone who I was with. Like, I felt the need that I just needed to take off because I felt like my life was really like going in a cycle, and it was going downhill from where I was. And basically, I came back, and I know that people were looking for me. I know that people were blowing my phone up and texting me and this and that, and I made so many excuses, and I just wanted a break, and I didn't understand why my family didn't understand that I wanted to go. I wanted to be alone. I wanted a break. But at the same time, what I had to realize for myself is that I had responsibilities to adhere to. Like, I had responsibilities, and I neglected those responsibilities just so I could go and take a break and leave. And in actuality, adulthood is, you can't do that. You can't just neglect your responsibilities just because you feel like you need a break. But when I got back, it was this huge altercation with my family and I was about to like leave. I was just about to go and leave. Like, the plan wasn't to hurt myself. It was just going to go and leave, up until I came back, and like I was like walking out the door, and I came back, and my dad was talking to me, like he was just upsetting me, and I was just getting even more upset. And he walked in my room, and he's just yelling at me, and he's talking at me, and then he leaves out, and I'm just upset. I'm so upset that I'm just walking around my room, and I'm pacing, and I'm just huffing and puffing, and I'm just irritated, and I'm upset, and I'm crying, and I take these scissors, which aren't they aren't sanitary. I do not recommend ever doing this. Disclaimer: do not do this at home, kids. Never. Do not ever try doing this. Don't. If you ever have thoughts, please let someone know. I took some scissors and I just started cutting my arm, and up until my arm started bleeding, you could see the blood coming from the cuts, and I kept going, and then I placed the scissors down. And honestly, if I were to be honest with you, I wasn't done. Like, I just set them down. I was just upset. I'm not even thinking about what I did to myself. I'm not thinking about the pain. It doesn't hurt. Like, I did it, and that's that. And my dad comes in, and he's talking to me, and he sits on my bed, and he's talking to me, and honestly, I'm not really processing anything. Everything just goes blank. Like, I'm just like, I'm looking at him, but I'm not feeling, and I don't have any emotions. Like, everything just literally shut down. And he's talking to me, and then right when he stops talking, and I look at him, and he looks at my arm, and he's like, okay, let's go. I put on my coat, I put on my things, and we went to the hospital. And basically, we went to the ER, I went to the emergency room, and then, they asked me questions. I answered their questions, and they took me to this, like, very private, secluded room. And I had to undress and get in, like, a gown, per se. There was a TV in the room, and the TV had this glass box around it. There was literally nothing in the room that a normal hospital room would have. Like, it was very, like, just secluded from everything. And they had people come in and talking to me. They had nurses coming in and addressing, my scars and everything like that. And the last lady that came and talked to me, she was saying that she advises, in cases like this, that people stay in the hospital for at least 72 hours, right? She asked me, did I think I'm going to do it again? I said I didn't know. Because at that moment, I did it. Like, I was capable of doing it, and I did it, and I don't know if that could ever happen again. I didn't know in that moment if that could ever happen again, and I wasn't scared at that point. I was kind of just like, I wish I would have done something else, Like, I wish I would have done something bigger than just cutting my arm. Like, at that time, I'm just thinking, like, I just kind of hate the life that I live, and I'm like, I'm over it. Like, I don't want this for me anymore. I've been living to this standard. I've been living, trying to please myself, trying to please everybody else, and I can't even get to the bare minimum of pleasing myself. So, at this point, I was kind of just like over the edge, like pushed over the edge, And so the lady comes and talks to me, and she tells me that, and I say, okay, so basically she's saying that I'll have to stay here or what? But no, that's not the case, that I will have to be transferred somewhere else. So my dad comes in, Ivy and my dad come in the room, and my dad was talking, and, I end up stop him from talking, and it's like, okay, listen to this. I literally, which is another video to come, I literally told him that the reason I lost my voice, the reason I stopped communicating, the reason I don't communicate, because it's always been difficult for me as here I am, it's always been difficult for me to communicate, and it's always been difficult for me to express how I feel, especially to my dad. And I let him know where it all came from, where it all started. like no secrets, no nothing. And at that moment, I knew that right when I said that, you know, I had let everything out because it was hurting so bad, and I let everything out, and I told him where this all came from, because I'm sorry. Yo, I am pregnant and telling us that story. um me and my dad's relationship has not always been great. Like, I've always felt really close to my dad, but our relationship hasn't always been great. Our relationship hasn't been, you know, trusting dad, loving daughter, and everything like that, because we've had this one thing that's important in a relationship missing, and which was communication. And yeah, it was difficult for me to communicate with the things that I had went through, but my dad never knew. He never knew of those things. But inside me, I felt like I couldn't tell him. So whenever I told him that, I felt like there was this switch that had came on, and my dad was just like, I get it. Like, I understand. And ever since then, me and my dad's relationship has been, like, so solid. Our relationship, we have gotten so much close, and I feel like now I can tell him anything without hiding anything. You know, I wish this would have came years later when I was 16, or years later when I was 13, so we wouldn't have such a hard time, you know, with me and just growing up and experiencing a lot of things, and, you know, when you gotta just find out a lot of things as a parent. So, and I felt like our relationship then just got better, but even, like, at that point, I had to go to the hospital. So, I went to this hospital, and when I first got there, it didn't seem bad. And I'm not saying that the hospital was bad or anything like that, but it didn't seem bad. I was just not looking forward to not being at home, you know. And when I was all checked into the hospital, and my dad and Ivy had to go, you know, this was like the heartbreaking moment, because I didn't expect what was coming next. Like, I didn't know what was the next thing leading up to that point. I didn't even want them to go. Like, I really didn't want them to go. And when they left, I was like, no, now I'm here by myself, and this is a foreign place, and, you know, something I know nothing about, you know. Sorry. Something I know nothing about. And being there for the first 20, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you know, I cried because I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand what I got myself into. But the first day that I was there, you know, my roommate that I had to share a room with, she was really cool. She was really nice and everything like that. She bought me a snack, even, like, she bought me some chips and a drink, and I was just like, oh wow, this is not so nice of her. And, you know, I thought it was gonna be cool. I met some really cool people there. I met some awesome people there. Some people that needed to be there, but also took something from also being there. Like, so many great people I met. And I had met a friend that I could call one of my best friends there. And she was just, we literally left on the same day. Oh my God. We left on the same day because we were just really eager to get out. Yeah. But being in there really made me rethink a lot of things. It really made me think about my life and think about my situation. Being in there really made me have to evaluate a lot of things that I had endured, like a lot of things that I went through. It really made me have to figure out ways to cope. And that's what I took from being in there. I took coping, you know, situations being in there. They did put me on antidepressants for depression and anxiety. And they They had me follow up with a psychiatrist and also a therapist, which is awesome to talk to somebody, you know, when you can't talk to the people that are already in your life. If you can't, I recommend finding someone to talk to, because having no one and keeping it all inside only builds it up, just so your mental state can break down. And trust me, being in that state is not fun at all. I do not recommend it. I recommend that if you need someone to talk to, find someone to talk to. Even if you can't talk to your family, if you can't talk to your friends, find someone to talk to. You know, everything help in every little part helps, because being depressed is not just, you know, some brush off the shoulder type thing. You know, depression can lead to several things. Depression can lead to suicide thoughts. Depression can lead to self-harming. Depression can lead to committing suicide. It all takes place, and it's all so scary. And I never want to ever be in that situation again. I never want to be put in a position where I lose control and I stop feeling, because feelings are what makes us human. You know, that's what I think. Feelings makes us human. To feel makes us human. That's what I think. But yeah, it was a crazy time. And in result of that, after I came from the hospital, I started thinking about, I have scars on my arm. I work in a daycare, you know. I go to school where I wear short sleeves. I wear scrubs, you know. And what am I going to do? So the time that I was going to school, I wore a long sleeve shirt under my scrubs. And when I went to work, I wore a jacket over my shirt. And then I was like, well, something's gonna have to give. So I got a tattoo that says Ohana on my right arm, which it wasn't the arm that had marks on it. And I put Ohana on my arm, and I know that tattoos are very permanent and people can feel how they feel about them, but I am pro tattoo. Pro tattoo. But I put Ohana, and it means family, but it doesn't just mean family in Hawaiian. It means no one gets left behind or forgotten. And sometimes you need a reminder of that, even if even if you know that, but you still need a reminder. And that's what I think about every time I look at my Ohana tattoo. And after I got the Ohana, I got strength on this arm, which, there it goes, strength. And I had got some other things. I just got some things added to it, as you guys can see. But I got strength to cover up my scars, because it reminds me that what happened it was in my weak state of mind. It happened, I was weak, but looking at this always reminds me to be strong. Always reminds me to power through whatever emotions telling me that I can't, you know. It encourages me, and I really, really, really am grateful that this is covered, and I'm grateful for the guy who tattooed this on me, because I just gave him the word and he freestyled it over my scars, and it's perfect. I love it. Every time I look at it, I love it. I fall in love with it just every time. And on my wrist, on this right arm, I put fear not, and that it just reminds me to not be afraid of anything that comes in my way, any obstacle, any feeling, any person, you know, not to be afraid of any situation I'm put in, because I'm bigger than that. You know, I'm bigger than every situation that I'm put in. I'm bigger than anybody that stands in front of me and tells me that I can't. I'm bigger than the feelings that make me feel I'm less than. Because I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't believe, but for my beliefs, I believe that God made me stronger than that. God made me bigger than that. God made me the person I am to handle all of that. And when it becomes too much, then it's not for me to handle, it's for him to handle. And I appreciate that. And I honestly can say that there would be no way that I could have made it through anything that I have ever made it through without God. And that concludes my story time. I hope you guys liked this. I hope you guys took something out of the story. This is something that's been part of my life, and I'm not ashamed to share it with anyone. It has happened to me, and I know that it's probably happened to a few more other people, and a few more other people can also be encouraged by what I'm saying, and be encouraged by me even speaking out and saying something, because a lot of people don't say anything. Yes, I'm clinically depressed and I have anxiety and I take medication for it, and I'm not afraid to say that to anybody because it's a part of me, you know. That's it. It'll be a part of me until it's not. So I'm glad you guys stayed this far at the end of this video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys can take something from it and learn from something from it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you guys, subscribe down below. Hit that button and also hit the thumbs up. Comment below what you guys want me to do, because I am open to anything. Just not a lot of physical things, as we can tell. Guys, I am 9 months today and it feels great. It feels so great. So I need you guys to follow what we're doing, because it's about to get so real in like a matter of weeks and days. I thank you guys. As always, it's not goodbye. See you later.